Hello, everybody. It is Al Night. It is Brony time, and welcome to more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we had our first encounter with Miss Giselle Brett, the new person of interest in the murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. She, of course, maintained that Ryunosuke was the one who killed Dr. Wilson, and through this cross-examination, when we thought all hope was lost, we came to the stark realization that there was a burn on Dr. John H. Wilson's hand, and what we eventually came to was that Mr. Wilson was already dead when he had that burn. So that changes things completely. So without further ado, let's get right back to the courtroom. The professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon? As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from the witness again. If it's true as we now believe, that the victim... Sorry. That the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard. It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency... The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment. I'm kind of not corrupt, you see. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'll be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. Everyone's a little bit racist sometimes. Jesus Christ. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you on your own level. You're the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. Step on me, Mommy. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us. I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Witness testimony. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I had no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life could be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. Damn. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that this is the last time I'll have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. I know it's wrong to hit women, but that doesn't mean the urge isn't here right now. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. Will you please have sex with me? And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to our country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May the irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. Oh, yeah! Fucking put her in her place, Kazuma. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency. Thank you. You may proceed with your cross-examination. 1 second, cat scratching the couch. Sorry about that, guys. I love him, but he's a menace. Then you may proceed with your cross-examination. Oh my god, this is an annoying part of this game.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so? Quite right. Le Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident. Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand? Man, fuck you, bitch. Ha ha ha! A killer blow! The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful. Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Outry is finally starting to see sense. No, Ryan, come on. You're in your early 20s. Like, come on. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There's more before, when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe? Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on the last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett in her last statement again.
Yes! Wait.
Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as an interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry, pursue. I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness's marker. What marker? I don't see anything, Kazuma. I don't have fourth wall vision. At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right, with A and D, you could turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you could catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. Okay, that's great, Kazuma, but what the hell is space? If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across with A and D, and focus on the detective, then pursue him with space, and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait.
Wait. What the? What is the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosanaga. Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett? Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosanaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. One day your ancestor will be doing the same thing. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. You can see it. One day, our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. Can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Oh, new evidence. And in this playthrough, whenever we get into new evidence, we always examine it. Oops. Apparently right-click is back. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. No, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Rianosuke, you can't do that! For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. Don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Rianosuke, in more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Okie dokie. Looks like that's all we can investigate there. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination, and the inspector will kindly control his fervor.
Yes!
What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Yeah, I figured that would be incredibly obvious, but... Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order! And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Giselle Brett. It was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous. To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty? This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady! Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. I'm sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigate this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I just said it like 5 minutes ago. Keep up, man. I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that is available in this country at the present time. I could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours. Please have sex with me. I'm so lonely. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Whoa! It's hot girl who's underaged. Please, wait. Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, judicial assistant to the defense. The offense. Okay, Mikotoba? My darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. Damn, so many twists and turns. Dang it! Oh, get used to that. There'll be a lot of times where I'll stop and I had to stop. Like, I really didn't have a choice. Can't make these videos too long. God, man, the orchestra is so good. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense, but why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant, and a woman no less! Everybody's a little bit sexist sometimes. The rules state that females are not permitted in this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please, simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English. It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed his paper. Oh, yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that? Never heard that word before. Time's up! The prosecution demands the immediate removal of the female trespasser from the courtroom! There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Goodbye then. Good luck. You've had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but... The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency. If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It is a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely declare... Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. Uh-huh. Because the English language makes so much sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, Counsel, what is the new evidence that demands the court's attention? First, I want to read it real quick. Reaching used since ancient times to incapacitate prey. Vexinus process the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. The other information occurs when the poison enters the body through wounds. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that toxic could have application as an anesthetic. Alright. Oh yeah, we're in a minute. I was like, why can't I close the court record? But anyway.
Yes.
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yume University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death. What complete and utter nonsense? Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct. Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order, order, order. Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report, authored by the visiting research student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace the arrows. It seems that it is reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists. To lace the arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle, and it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that the animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspirations are utter trumpery! Disqualify them from the election! I'm sorry. I had to. To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, He would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? Respiration. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison. And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains the terrifying poison. This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts. You think you're so clever, but you must be taught about... It is you who must be taught. Of course. Dear lady! So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Okay. There's so much we can get in with that. Okay. But anyway. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree? Enough of this! I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the Great Fire of Japan is breaking the rules. What's so funny? Oh, excuse me. Your Excellency? Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? No. Do not let a witness who is not in Tosanaga hold evidence. God, the animations in this are so well done. Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant little island boys. Sorry? To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics. It's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers! Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. Just dead silent. Goodness, whatever's the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make any sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle. Doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have not keeled over dead. Come on, Ryunosuke, we have all the clues now. That bottle of water. The culprit did put curare poison in Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious. Fool! Are you blind? There's no possible way that bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication could be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the court records somewhere. It has to be. Very well, if the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed?
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Mrs. Brett's own research report. That's not a valid explanation. No, after all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency. I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? I'm gonna double check here real quick. Special characteristics, yeah, that's what I thought. Because, it only happens when it enters the body through a wound, and Dr. Wilson had a tooth extracted, so... We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel? Well, it sounds as though indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years, to lace the heads of arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please! But if they were to use this laced arrows, does that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point! So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, Council, no, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Oh, dear God. I mean, no teeth. I think you'd also have to watch out for open sores in your mouth, too. One sore and you're dead. Through a wound, you would say? See, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curai enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curai's special characteristics. And you knew that you would make us skeptical of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little rapscallion! Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer? All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with, some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't shoot you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw. As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems like that its effects are neuralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers? What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Ah, that's right. Good gracious. That's the basic science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Order, order in the court, order! Logic holds. As the lady and the professor drank the same poison as they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest? Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial. That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this? Welling up inside me. I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It is so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.
Objection!
Objection! I don't think so, Miss Giselle Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? You know very well there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why. Oh, yes, go off. I'm sorry, go off, strings. Oh, man, it's so good, man. Oh, I'm sorry, I know I'm fanboying, but by God. Even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison, you are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been killed by the curare? Because he had an open wound.
Take that!
As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound. Excuse me? So for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water? Inside? Yes, like the wound you might have. The wound you might have? Sorry, if you had just been to a dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example. Ah! Ha! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Ah! So that's it. Use the knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. Ah! Grab it, dude! Why'd you just... You see, when you leave vital evidence lying around, you never know what might happen to it. No! I mean, it could just slip. Just arrest her. No, put cuffs on her, take her out, and give me not guilty. Like, there is no freaking way that you can still charge us with this crime now. We've already established, even if the bottle was broken, we've established enough reasonable doubt, and I know this is Meiji, Japan, so they obviously didn't have reasonable doubt. But wait, no, he said reasonable doubt. So now we have a reasonable doubt. So, no, we need to find who did it. I don't know why I'm getting so... As somebody who's, like, played and watched people play the Ace Attorney series for so long, like, I don't understand why I'm getting so... But it never ceases. It's the one, like, fatal flaw of this game. Is just that, like, a lot of liberties have to be taken to keep things, like, interesting and that. And it's just, like, a lot of the, like, normal stuff would go out the window because every case would be over fairly quickly. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. No! No! What is it? What has happened? It's the Englishwoman. She just smashed that bottle. In Supreme Court. What a terrible blunder. Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle as possible at once. You're wasting your time. The delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor the presence of mind to recover it. Ha 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 ha! How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know, will we, if there really was a poison in the bottle or not. Yes, indeed, she has broken the bottle. But we'll have to see what comes of this next time on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Hoo boy, a lot happened in this episode. Holy crap. Oh my god. That's crazy. Oh. Well. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I just enjoyed everything about this. The music is fantastic. And despite all the leaps and like holes in that they have to make to keep the game going and interesting, is a bit frustrating. Oh my gosh. But thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Brony Time for more content, especially more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Also make sure to share this video far and wide so more and more people can find the series. It's new. It's something I've never done on my channel before, so we're gonna have an uphill battle to, you know, get this out there and discovered. But we will keep going no matter what. And I'll see you all next time.